Hi, it's Graham from Compiler again with the next video about the benefits of website security. This is a very important subject which you need to understand, so let's get started. The first question to ask is, why website security? There are many reasons why you want to keep your website secure. Lately there has been a rise in the number of website attacks by hackers. You may think that it's unlikely that any hacker would want to attack your site, but I can tell you from personal experience that this happens. It's not a pleasant experience, I can tell you. If hackers get into your site, then you run the risk of data protection. Most modern websites have databases behind them which contain sensitive information about customers and other critical business information. You do not want to take the risk of this data being copied, or worse, for it to disappear altogether. Then there is the threat of site availability. If your site is attacked, it will probably be unavailable to the world at large. Quite often hackers will replace your homepage with their own that tells everyone that your site has been hacked. Also, if your site security is poor, you could end up with viruses. This is very nasty. Viruses are left on the site so that users will have their computers infected when they visit your site. Another similar problem is the addition of malware. This is similar to a virus, and it installs a malware package on your visitor's computer when your site is visited. The visitors will not thank you for this. Hosting vulnerability. This is very unlikely to happen to you, as Compiler always ensure that the latest security patches are installed. With inferior hosting companies, this is not always the case, and this can lead to many sites being hacked at once. Now that you know the major reasons for site security, it's time to look at the dangers. If your site is not security protected, there are many dangers. This often starts with your site not being available. If you are hacked, then more often than not, this is done to frustrate you by replacing your homepage with junk, or taking your site offline altogether. Make sure that you have a copy of all the content on your site, as getting it back online without this is a major challenge. Next we have data stolen. Do not think that you are not open to this. Some competing businesses may go to any length to steal your customers or your important company information. You must protect yourself from this. Then there is the chance that your visitors get malware. Malware is malicious software. It is any software used to disrupt computer operation, gather sensitive information, or gain access to private computer systems. This can be really nasty stuff, and it can do you damage as well as your visitors. This also can lead to a loss in search engine rankings. If your site is suspected of malware infestation, then Google will temporarily move your site from its search engine rankings. This can be devastating for your business if you rely on Google traffic for new customers. Even worse than this is the threat of sabotage. The main threat here comes from ex-employees that have a grudge against your company. They will know that taking your website down will cause you major headaches. You must ensure that you change login details after an employee leaves. This could be even worse if you have your own web server, because it could lead to local network access. There have been cases where hackers have got into a company's web server and then found their way into the local area network for the company. This means that everything is available to them. It is wise to keep your web hosting with Compiler to ensure that this does not happen to you. Now is the time to look at how to prevent attacks. Now that you know about the risks involved with website security, it is time to understand how you can prevent any attacks. This starts with the simple matter of passwords. Never use passwords that people can easily guess. This is especially important when it comes to your website security. If you run WordPress, then don't use admin for your username and password for the password. Make it complex and hard to crack. Then we have server updates. If you run your own web server, then you need to make sure that all of the latest security updates have been installed. This is particularly important if you run a Windows-based server, as unfortunately these are more prone to attacks. Then we have CMS updates. A lot of websites are based on content management systems or CMSs these days. The most popular of these is WordPress, which is a great system, but it can be vulnerable to hackers. It is critical that you update WordPress or whichever CMS you use whenever the need arises. Related to this are file permissions. You need to make sure that you're not providing public access to critical files which are related to your website. Config or configuration files are particularly vulnerable. Ask your website administrator to make sure that you are protected against this, or ask your web host. If you host your site externally, ensure that your web host installs the relevant security patches when required. As I've already said, there is no need to worry if you have a compiler account, as this is already done. On the subject of hosting, you could consider VPS hosting. VPS hosting is a lot more secure than conventional shared hosting. Compiler offer top quality VPS hosting solutions that are all very affordable. Call us on 0871 226 1144 or send an email to sales@compiler.com and we will be delighted to help you. Next we will take a look at technical solutions. These are for the technically minded, but it's good for business owners to understand this so that they can get the solutions implemented. We will start with parameterized queries. These are used to prevent SQL injection. Placeholders are used for parameters, and the parameter values are supplied at execution time. Don't worry, your database administrator will know what this means. Then we have encode HTML forms. Most sites have at least one HTML form on their site for contacting them or collecting customer email addresses. Hackers can take advantage of these forms in some cases if they're not encrypted, so make sure that they are. Next we have server-side validation. Form validation should always be done both on the browser and server side. Always double-check validation at the server side to ensure that nothing has been compromised. You can also use SSL. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer and is used to protect website transactions. It offers a high level of security and is straightforward to implement. Contact Compiler for your SSL certificates on 0871 226 1144 or send us an email to sales@compiler.com. Moving on to security tools. There are many commercial and free products to assist you with this. They work on a similar basis to scripts hackers will use in that they test all known exploits and attempt to compromise your site using some of the previous mentioned methods such as SQL injection. And finally, security plugins. If you're running WordPress, then there are several plugins that you can add to your site to protect it. One of the best is called WordFence, which is absolutely free and easy to install. Now it's time for a summary. Time to sum up the most important points about website security. We will start with updates. These apply to CMS-based sites such as WordPress. There are frequent WordPress updates and these should always be applied. Then we have form issues. Website forms can provide a way in for experienced hackers. Make sure that they are encrypted to prevent this. Then there is the straightforward matter of secure passwords. This is the simplest form of security to update. Use complex passwords and note them down in a secure place. More sites have been hacked because of weak usernames and passwords than any other reason. Moving on to file permissions. This is an area that most people do not address. Again, it will require a determined and experienced hacker to take advantage of this, but it is not worth taking the chance. Sort out your file permissions. You can always upgrade to VPS hosting. I will cover the many advantages of VPS hosting in a video coming up soon, but one of these is the advanced security features. You can upgrade your existing compiler hosting account painlessly to a VPS account, which leads me on to Compiler can help. We can upgrade you to a more secure VPS account very easily. Call us on 0871 226 1144 or send an email to sales@compiler.com and we will be delighted to help you. Well, that is the end of this video. I hope that you found it useful. In the next video, we will be taking a look at email security. So, see you then.